is no longer tense nor tight. The muscles now are very relaxed. Relaxed. The light moves on down to the chest. Your lungs are relaxed, breathing deeply. In and out. So relaxed. As you take a deep breath, the light moves down. The abdomen is relaxed. The light is relaxing all the muscles in my body. The light moves down to the tips of your toes. Oh, how relaxed and vibrant, alive you feel. Every cell in your body is lit up with this divine light. Relaxed. So relaxed. All the trials of the day are gone. You feel so alive and vibrant, peaceful. Sit quietly for a few moments, watching with your inner eye, the single eye. Mine eye being single, now my whole body is full of light. Your breathing is in and out, in, out. Each breath brings the light brighter and brighter. Oh, how wonderfully vibrant, alive you feel. Again, you're sitting quietly, relaxed. Now imagine you're sitting at the feet of the chief. Not being afraid of what he sees in you, but hoping he will examine you very carefully and thoroughly. Prescribing exactly the circumstances, events, and lessons which will start correction and adjustment, so that you might get back on the track of perfect growth. open your eyes, but try to stay in the same frame of mind. Hold this relaxed, vibrant, alert feeling with you. Don't change while we talk to you for a few moments. Listen carefully and absorb carefully, but don't change. As I read this meditation or relaxation, I read it more quickly than you will do it. You will take each segment of it and do it as slowly, or even repeat the phrase of each segment until you feel that it is working. It's of no use to you to go through the motions, to read it through, without being sure that each phrase did what it was supposed to do.
And say it with feeling. Each time you say it, gain strength in what you feel. And the only way you can do that would be through the effort that you exert in reading or going through this meditation.
In my mind, as I say it silently, I might speak a little louder in my mind as I say it to myself. And certain parts of it I might speak with more vitality and with more enthusiasm, almost as if to command my vehicle. In other words, you don't always have to say it very somberly, though slowly will probably be helpful, and well spaced will be helpful. You don't want to get angry with your vehicle when you're saying it. You want to soothe your vehicle. If this is done properly, then what happens? Your vehicle and your mind become fused, and you're no longer talking to your vehicle. They become the same, your mind and your vehicle.
Now, if you want to sit after you have gone through the meditation, just quietly like you're doing now, in a relaxed state, and just try to hold that bright light in your body. Give it the opportunity, give it the chance to do what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to heal your body. It's supposed to correct anything that needs to be corrected. And in other words, you don't, as soon as you finish reading the meditation, you don't get up and go on about what you were doing, but allow it to stay in your body. Learn what it feels like to be relaxed. Know if your hands tense up when you're not even aware of it, or your back tenses up and you're not aware of it, or your shoulders. Learn to recognize it immediately. And when you do feel it, then relax it.
Don't confuse a relaxed state with a sleep state. Because if you're very relaxed in the right way, you're very alert. But you're just not, you have no stress. similar to a very finely tuned receiver that has no flaws, and all frequencies are open. And you're knowing it's like the teletype that knows that after it has made its request for correction, healing, perfection, that soon the wire will start coming in. The teletype will start its ticker tape by the events and circumstances that you are thrown into in order to correct the things that are improper, unhealthy, keeping you in a state of decay instead of perfect health.
After you learn how to do this, where you know the meditation and you can close your eyes and not have to read it, then your vehicle likes this feeling, and it should respond very well to the feeling because it likes to feel good. And you can, if you're going about your task, if you have an out-of-craft task or you have a task in the craft, you can actually say to yourself, if you find that you're getting a little bit agitated over something or you're getting too tense, you could actually say just to your vehicle, relax, relax. And your vehicle will immediately respond to it. And you will find that you are relaxing and can see everything in a much clearer light. Members of the next level who are not interfered with by vehicles like this, in other words, the ones who are liberated, or, well, let me reword that, not on a task where it involves having to have a vehicle like this. Even if they have to have a vehicle like this, they still have a certain power or a certain ability to do certain things according to the task that they have to do. Unfortunately, we are limited to what we can do, but we can do a couple of things. They did allow us to do a couple of things, and that is communicate with them. One way, most of the time. Meaning, oh well, we do hear from them once in a while, but only when they want to talk to us, or when we're so persistent that we drive them crazy, and then they give us an answer, and they that satisfies being no for a while, and that's the end of it. But normally, a member of the next level has this mechanism that we're teaching you right now in his vehicle that happens almost with the flickering of an eye, blinking of an eye. In other words, what I mean is that when a member of the next level is strong and in a circumstance that is normal to them, meaning task on the planet, I don't mean just up in the next level, flying around in spacecrafts. I'm talking about when he's on a task that involves going to a garden. Then he has the ability to control his vehicle very, very well. He can, where the silver mind control people teach you how to sit into a meditative state to come up with an answer, a member at the next level can receive an answer just like that. They don't have to do anything. but ask. And the answer comes to them. This happens to us. I joke about the next level, and we drive them crazy, but they have never let us down. They may not answer us all the time, but it's simply because they have nothing to say. And they do not talk. They do not chatter back and forth like a party line. And they know that we know that they do not chatter. And they know that we know that we're not supposed to chatter. But sometimes we do when we're trying to force them to do something. And of course you can't ever force a member of the next level to do anything. So anyway, a member of the next level does have the ability to receive an answer instantly whenever he's on a task. And we hope that by the time you get to the next level, you will have the beginning of receiving answers. Now, you aren't in a position right now to receive answers. It isn't right for you at this time because you are still under the influence of this garden. And there are too many little helpers all around who want to help you and who can misguide you. But we are trying to, through this method, teach you how to communicate without words. And hopefully you will progress. It will depend upon you, like we mentioned last night. The effort that you put out will determine how fast you progress. So we hope that you will do all that you can.
One thing to add, I hope you all understand, we think you all understand why it's right for T and Do to push and to be impatient. It's part of what we must do. We can't take for granted that our timing is right. We can't say, well, if there's no answer now, one will come when they get ready. We have to constantly be asking, even though they know that it's hard for us to ask when there's no answer that is right at that moment. But it is still right for us to constantly ask, even though we get anxious at times on what's the matter, what's the delay. It's even right for us to wonder, because it's part of our own self-examination. Is there some reason? Is there something we're doing wrong? Is there something as teachers that we're off the track in that could cause the next lesson, the next step, the next answer to be delayed? So we are always asking that question. So therefore it's right for us to seem a bit impatient, just because we don't want to waste any time of theirs, and we don't want to have any time pass when possible growth could happen more quickly, if it's possible. And that's the reason we push. When T said to you a moment ago that a member of the next level can come up with an answer like that, it's because of the frame of mind and condition that member of the next level can retain. Even though there will come a time when you will discard the vehicle that you have, you may discard the vehicle that you have, or the vehicle that you have may become, by methods of the next level, the vehicle you have may become another vehicle. But how would you be comfortable in that other vehicle if you have not mastered control of your attitude and your vibrations in this vehicle? You would be in a house that you would not be familiar with. So the control has to be done in a wild animal. This is why you have worked so hard with this wild animal that you've been in, to tame it, and to tame it so much that it is doing exactly what your mind chooses for it to do. and stays just as calm and relaxed. Now, we have never before presented to you the nutshell picture of how life becomes timeless, ageless, lacking in decay, if your mind and the mind's body are one, and if they are at peace. It's only when the vehicle and the mind are at conflict that decay sets in. And this is not only true of your mind and your vehicle, this is true of all living mind, force, and vehicles. But only the next level didn't begin to design them with the capacity to switch over to a non-decadent condition until the evolutionary stage of so-called ex-human vehicle. Human vehicle that does not perform like a human, but ex-human vehicle that performs like a member of the next level. When your vehicle and your mind can be one in the same and destroy interference and destroy and not entertain decaying, negative thoughts, responses, downers, anything that is stress, anything that destroys the cellular structure of the vehicle and pushes the mind further away. When the vehicle is in a healthy condition, the mind can fill it very nicely and control it very nicely. When the vehicle is in unhealthy condition, the mind has very poor control. So you have to force the mind to use these ways that we are now teaching you to correct the areas that are ill or that are sick or less than perfect by concentrating on them. In a sense, it's right to think that every living cell in your body has a brain of its own, so that I can actually talk to all that little mass of brains in my abdomen if my abdomen is under stress or my abdomen is less than well. And I can, over a period of time, make all those little brains in those little cells listen to me. And I can force them to stop the ailment, to bring vitality into that area, to restore it to health. But it can't be done in a moment. It has to be done with persistent focusing in with the right attitude, and then not turning around after you've done your homework and getting yourself back in a position of decaying stress. Now, certain phases of your school, of your classroom, have forced you into circumstances that caused great stress upon your vehicle. And there was no other way. There is no other way to go than to go through those steps that cause you to be angry at certain elements of yourself that need to be corrected, and to slam doors when your mind wants to entertain thoughts. And those are all stages of growth. And we have, none of you have yet lost your vehicle in the process of learning in this classroom. You all still have your vehicles. Some of them are worse for wear because of the difficulties that you have had to deal with your vehicles, being out of harmony with your minds. And also colored by what you inherited, with the degree of decay that you inherited in the cellular structure that was passed down in you as an offspring, makes your task harder. Certain ones of you makes your task harder. But don't forget that there's no such thing as a negative. That is also a positive in order to give you added strength, the development of added strength to turn a less healthy vehicle or certain ailments into a healthy vehicle and make that mind and vehicle one. Now, we said before we began this meeting that if we've said anything in the last couple of meetings or tonight, we want to know that what we're saying is clearly understood by you, because we may leave you in a few days and start this new routine that we have talked about, and then we would only see a few of you at a time, and we may not even speak at that time. And we want to be sure that you know how to do these methods of working on the harmony of your vehicle with your mind, and of relaxing it and controlling it and moving into a next level type of vibration consistently around the clock instead of periods once in a while if you're lucky. And so if there are things you do not understand, we want to know them now. If there are things we can clarify for you to give you new and fresh and vital understanding of what it is we're hoping that you can employ now. Sir Rody? Well, then you have to concentrate on it. You have to focus on it. You have to spend a great deal of time on it, because I can't buy it and you can't buy it either, that it can't become loose. And it's smart to know that it is not loose. It's because then you can focus in on it.
When you do your meditation, make sure that light goes through that spot. In other words, any spot in your body that seems to be more tense, and we skip over it in the meditation, add it to the meditation.
Yes, just because we covered certain areas doesn't mean that you can't cover more areas in your meditation. Like T said, if there are areas of your vehicle, whether it's your hip joint or anything, then you would put those in. And I'm glad you brought that point up. If there's a spot in your head or behind your ear or any place else that you know you can't relieve the discomfort, whether it's a headache or a feeling of stress or a pain or something that's out of order, then you would spend some time concentrating with that energy and that light on that area consistently until you find relief. Still, Lodi?
At an earlier meeting, I think in January, if I understood you right, you said that for the vehicle to break down would be a plus. Now...
No, that is not correct.
Okay.
We said it is understandable that the vehicle breaks down. It's a plus that the vehicle in certain ways, like you don't need to be muscle bound, because humans might say to be a healthy vehicle would to be muscle bound. To be muscle bound would get in your way. So certain areas that humans would consider a healthy vehicle, your vehicle is not healthy in those ways. Only in that way would we mean that it was a positive. Do you follow what we're saying? Am I clear? In the ways that a human would consider.
Maybe you could say a little bit more.
Ask this question a little different.
Right, because I don't really know what you mean when we said plus. Because it's just taking it like that doesn't. I don't remember that. So would you say all that the blessing related to?
At the time that I remember this, several individuals were having things in the vehicle break down, say Soyuz to Norody and Glenwoody, were having things happen. And my interpretation of what I felt you said at the meeting was that these breakdowns can happen because these people were doing their homework and they were putting out effort to grow. And I found myself thinking, well, gosh, what?
Well, that's
What's
not
your
It's not happening.
that's not quite thorough. No, the correct meaning of that would be is at that stage, it could we can't, members of the next level don't see negatives, and therefore we could understand why that was happening, why those things were happening to their vehicles, because they weren't functioning as humans would function in order to keep their vehicles healthy. Now we're at a new step, a new lesson, which is requiring that we restore these vehicles to health, but as members of the next, our students who are entering the next level would restore these vehicles to health. Nothing has been lost. Nothing is so bad in its breakdown that it cannot grow more in a correct direction. But it was perfectly understandable. T and Do, through the steps that we have taken with you, the necessary steps, experienced extreme breakdown of the vehicles. But the next level said, okay, that's it. I'm drawing the line. You can't go any further in that direction. In other words, it was necessary to do it, but now it's time to stop those types of lessons that cause further decay of your vehicle. Now let's flip over and grow by the lessons that can also restore vitality, but not the type of vitality that is common to the human on the street, but vitality and health that is common to a student making a transition into the next level.
Now, what we're doing right now is we're not exactly trying to get you back in perfect health.
Not human perfect health.
Not human perfect health. All we're trying to do is to get you on a higher level of consciousness.
And not have anything distract that or disturb that or in the way of that. That is true. We're trying to get your vehicles more healthy, but not healthy.
When you feel
muscles.
good, you're on a higher vibration. You can take your classmates in a better way. You can function better. You can do your tasks better. And you all were getting down. You were being weighed down by this class. In other words, you needed to turn the pendulum so that you could lift up.
You were weighing yourself down because you were always so down on yourself on the areas that you knew that you were not growing fast enough. And the next level says, okay, you did all those lessons right, but they've got to stop, because now we've got to start in another direction in order to rescue you, because you had to do those things. We had to take you through every gamut you can possibly imagine, even in nutrition, to break you from your old mind's idea of what good nutrition was. And after we had broken all that down and you didn't care whether you were eating chili mac or pink drinks, because you had everything under the sun to go through in patterns of consuming, and then the next level says, okay, they've learned that. They don't really care what they consume any longer, and the line is now drawn, and now we've got to consume more properly, more what would actually make the vehicle healthy. And we even knew when they said we must do that, that your minds would still hear little tiny flickers back in the head of remembrances of when you were a human trying to relate what is healthy for this vehicle. And you had to quiet it and say, oh, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm only going to listen to the instruction of nutrition as it is given to me through my teachers. But we even compounded your problems with wrong nutrition. We can see now that we did. But it was our instruction to do so, to make you stronger. Because the better your nutrition is, the less your vehicle acts up. And like too much sweet or too much of salt or too much of these things will automatically in this vehicle or this vehicle or this vehicle cause adverse reactions that will manifest themselves in irritability or anxiety or frustration or nervous tension. In other words, nutrition has a lot to do with it, and we're giving a lot of attention to improvement of your nutrition now, as we are instructed to do. And we must now combine that with the mind's effort toward that vehicle. Can you see that? Rody?
So this is the part where you said that some of us may have to discard the vehicles, or there may be ways in the next level that these will be used to improve.
No, all we said was, the point was that how are you going to be at home in whatever your next level vehicle is, whether it is another one or this one changed over, if you do not have control of this one? How would you be at home in that next level vehicle if you do not know how to maintain harmony of your mind and vehicle in this one? We don't know exactly what your next step of transition would be, whether it's one the next level will take you through mentally, and so that your vehicle could actually, through the things we're now teaching him, could lose his wrinkles and could lose any indications of decay or what we call age. If the next level chooses for that to happen. If they choose, if he's doing his homework and that is not happening and he's doing it properly, then the fact that it is not happening they will use even to better prepare him for whatever vehicle he receives in place of that. We do not know what their choice will be, but we know that what you do in the meantime will prepare you for whatever vehicle you're occupying, whether it's this one that they decide to turn around and stop its decay, or whether it's we're teaching you that in order to be at home in a vehicle that does not know decay.
Did you have to say something?
Ready to be picked up? Someone's supposed to go pick him up. Press starting.
Sure, there's nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong with that. That's dirty?
Just don't pop a lotus blossom up.
Yes. Just hold your hand in case something wants to jump.
Yeah, but he broke it. Broke it in pieces.
During the 24 hours of the day now, I know a portion of the time that I'm going to be going over, I'm going to always be going over my lessons. And it's primarily what I'll be doing with, like, there are times that, would there be times that you would, might be doing something that you would have the object and you might not be going over prior lessons?
Well, the little talisman object, we'll call it a talisman or a focal object. It's whenever you have a chance, when your hands are free, it's just a little assistance to remind you that your teachers were instructed to give you this as a little object to remind you who you are, and that you can use it as a reminder of your lessons. You can use it to assist you to bring you into a relaxed state, into a meditative state. It can help you ward off things that you're feeling that are not correct or not proper. It's just a little device of assistance, because it was a gift to you. We were instructed to give to you. And it doesn't matter if it was nothing but a rock we picked up in the gravel pit. If we were instructed to give it to you, you should cherish it as a focal point that older members in the next level said they wanted me to have one of these as a focal point. And I'm going to make it such a focal point that it's more beautiful than a diamond to me and more precious to me because of what it represents.
You might also add in your meditation, after you have practiced this exercise, that anytime you touch your little object, that you will be able to relax and feel very alert, vibrant, and alive. Whatever it is, you can put in your own words. Just make sure it isn't negative. But it's perfectly legitimate to talk to your vehicle and train it to do these things. It's very cooperative in a relaxed state.
What Tia is saying is so true that when I have my object, sometimes it's as if I can feel something coming from that object that it's just almost charged. And I don't care what the facts or the analysis of that is. Doesn't matter to me. But it proves to me that it has worked because I can feel the charge there, and because it makes my thought go higher and more positive when I relate to that. No, I don't think you're defeating any purpose, but I don't think you really need to work with it unless you have problems that we're not aware of with certain arms in your muscles that prevent you from cutting an apple or something.
No, that's what happens is I can work with that. Man, your presentation, just weakening.
Well, then you don't need it.
Okay.
Then you don't need it. And this will do the same. If you treat this using your total body when you're on this little thing, unless you can't use it. If you can't use it because it hurts your lower back, then you might be okay to use that other device. But if this doesn't hurt your back and you're using your whole body while you're on this, it should do the same thing in assisting those muscles to kind of wear themselves out a little bit and relax a little.
I don't need to use the
No,
strain.
no, that's...
If you hold your hands like this, then you will have a relaxed state.
Have you
In
not
other words,
seen
there's
the
something
Tibetan
even
masters, so-called, in their yogi
I can-
position with their
I can
hands
just
touched like
relax
that?
my body, just
It's-
knowing that if the Buddha can do it, I sure can. So, I mean,
It's just a matter of a way of thinking in order to develop
that's
control.
right. It's where you put your mind immediately when I do this, my mind, the focus, the focal point on my mind goes completely to my head, because I know that that's the center right there that controls his whole vehicle. And it immediately goes to my head and starts sending out what it needs to send out to the rest of the body to make it relax. Now, you can do these things. It just takes practice. It isn't as quick as the techniques that these mind control groups use. But if you remember the herb lesson that we gave you last night, the herbs are better for you than the medication that the doctor will give to you. So
And
it's
they
a
might be
slower
slower.
process.
Mhm.
It's slower, but you are being built right. You are not building a false image of yourself.
Like
You're building something that is right from the inside out, and you will be exactly what you tell yourself that you want to be. But it isn't something you pretend to be. Like I saw a very heavy-set woman who radiated, I am beautiful. But she wasn't beautiful. but she radiated it because I could feel that she radiated
That
it. looked
she had meditated on convincing herself that she was
beautiful.
so beautiful, that she had an air about this big around, even larger than she was, that said, I am beautiful.
But we also can look at some of you and see beauty, and you're not even radiating it consciously. Do you see what I'm saying? In other words, what you are building, Lord real mad at somebody, but if that's the worst you do, that we don't advocate it, but we know that that's probably the worst that you possibly could do. And that is good.
We do want you to radiate
Good.
peace, calm, alert, pleasant, healthy, vital, with all systems go, and all systems going only in one direction, with only one intent, and that's next level of service. But we want you to radiate that pleasant, calm, alert vitality, hopefully all the time. Now, and it's the stage when you must develop that. It's the note on our piano roll when we must develop that. And you can't indulge in downers any longer on yourself or against anyone else. You can't do it. Now, when you go on out-of-camp tasks, whether it's even as a pilot or a co-pilot, and you're thrown in circumstances with humans, the higher your vibrations get, the more intolerable, the more difficult it will be for you to tolerate certain human ways. And we taught you for a while not to be Mr. Goody Two-Shoes, that to stand your ground against humans. We say, don't stand your ground any longer. Don't be Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. Just simply walk out of that circumstance and handle it in a way that you don't have to cause yourself anxiety or stress. Learn to be separate from that circumstance enough that if someone mistreats you, don't fight back. Don't stand your ground. Don't, even for principle. Don't do it. Protect yourself. And just be above it. Try to find another way of just handling that so that you're untouched by it. You've got to do it now. You've been through that lesson of not just, being everybody's doormat. And now you will be a doormat if you have to, in order to avoid a circumstance to throw you into stress. They started.
Perhaps I had a situation there. I was wondering whether I handled it correctly along the lines of someone that I was working, that I was training, and difficulty came at a time where it was rush, the highest, the most rush period, and I just couldn't handle it, and having to deal with them under those circumstances, and I didn't know what to do, so I just, even though it was a rush period, I just walked away from the situation for about 10 minutes, and just let him handle it, and then I came back and I felt.
Well, if you have to walk away for a moment, let that be your last resort. You would have been better off if you could have just, in your own mind, shot up 10 feet higher and looked down on them and laughed with them. Not let them know that you've shot up 10 feet higher, because then they would see you as some sarcastic lording over them. Do you see what I'm saying? But if you could be so adult as to understand that they're children, so adult to understand that they don't know how to act any better, so why should I be upset by it? Do you see what I'm saying? It's not putting them down. It's just lifting up to enough maturity to realize that they really don't know how. They haven't learned how to act any better. So what right do I have to be distressed at them? And I'm not their teacher. Do you follow that?
One thing that you want to learn is how to handle a circumstance under stress without getting uptight. And the first thing to do is to relax when you find that you're getting all tense. And then second, do as Doe said, see the humor in it and try to make everybody feel in a lighthearted manner so that they will not become irritated. We know that when it comes to food, that can be one of the biggest instigators of trouble if it turns out to be too slow coming out when they're in a hurry. If the food isn't exactly the way they ordered it. And what are some of the other cold and old and or whatever. And you in turn have to be the lighthearted person. Well, it looks like the cook has one of his bad days. Ha ha ha. And they might throw something at you, but at least you didn't get yourself under stress. What they do, it's their concern. What you do, it's your concern.
Yes, you're responsible for your conduct.
Right. You know better. They don't know better.
You put yourself down to their level if you let them disturb you.
If you begin to look at any of your any task that you have, whether you're in the craft, working on the lab or fiber lab, or if you're out of the craft working like Annie Odie in her task, if she looks at her task as something, oh, I hate to go to work. I'm so tired of those nurses fussing at the kitchen help or something, whatever the problem is.
Treats me like dirt.
Right. Then she is going to attract all of those thoughts to her. She's going to attract trouble because she is radiating it. Now, she can change it by becoming Miss Pollyanna. And she is happy. She's alert. She's so happy to scrub these pans. How many times did I say to myself, oh, I'm so happy to empty these stinking bedpans. And believe it or not, it got to where they smelled like flowers. And I'm not kidding. Anything you don't like, you want to fight like crazy to like. Because you do not want to be limited in any way. And if you're placed in a position of having a task that you do not like, then learn like crazy to like it. Because then you will have learned your lesson and something else will come your way.
Goodness, that's an important lesson. Very important lesson.
Extremely important. How many times have we said it?
That can be one you can turn your stone over many times.
I'm not going to do this. And the next fellow, I could hear them laughing. Okay, T, you learned that lesson. As soon as you learn it, you can move to something else. And as soon as we realized that, we learned quickly. That's when the lessons were coming pretty fast, if you all remember.
To go forward, is that all right, or should I still try?
Well, it wants to go forward because it wants to drop off to sleep?
No.
No, it doesn't matter. As long as you're not threatened with sleep. No, it's okay if it drops. It's okay.
Sometimes the vehicle will respond in that way to what you tell it to do. Like you say, the jaw gently drops in the mouth.
I tend to just kind of balance my head on my neck, kind of like a ball, and because I seem to shut off something, and I seem to cause tension in these muscles here if I let my head drop. Yeah. And so if I can just find a spot where I can balance it there, then I'm okay. And
That kind of leads into my question about problems. Answer what Paul already asked. I have been using
elastic, exercise to see if I could strengthen my back, but I don't know if I need to do that anymore.
Well, I think your task probably gives you enough physical exercise.
Well, it does. It's just that I'm not sure it's
Where does your back give you trouble? In the lower back?
from the top down.
Well, then that's just tension. That's just, otherwise, that's just muscular stress. If it isn't a disc that's,
Well, it's vertebrae like steel. I used to pop them in at any time.
yes, but the reason for that is tension. The reason they're out of whack is because the muscles are pulling them to one side or the other because of too much stress.
No, I've had that trouble, and I've learned that just by relaxing momentarily, my back will crack and get back in its place. And it's just a little trick that you have to learn through relaxing your vehicle. This
area is a very common problem for a human vehicle because of muscles getting too tight. And but as long as it isn't something that causes a pinched nerve kind of thing between a disc, then it's usually muscular tension.
In relation to the back, it's actually the tension that causes it to go out. So like the more stress you're under, the more chance it'll go out. I've been trying to.
You're talking about the lower back or
upper back?
the upper back? Yes.
Usually right between my shoulders.
Yes.
Is where it goes out. And I've been using reflexology, to try to work with it. It seems to help, but would you say this is more effective?
This would be more effective. You can still use the reflexology, but
complement each other, but the main energy maker should go into the meditation.
yes.
One won't cancel out the others.
And you just let's say it's between my shoulder blades, just concentrate the light on that area.
Yes, and get in a position where you can examine yourself to see if when you're sitting in meditation, are those muscles still in stress. Like if I push my rear end really as far back as I can get in this chair, and then I lean back on the chair, and I kind of balance my head, I ought to be able to get into a very relaxed physical condition so that muscles don't have to be tense to hold things in place. And
It's so funny, if you relax enough, your neck just goes pop, 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 pop. And it feels really funny, but it feels better after it pops.
you had a question?
If it seems more comfortable to not touch the chair, would it matter?
No, it's perfectly all right not to touch
Try
the
to
chair.
keep your
Yes,
spine
if you can be in this position without tension in your back, then fine.
Now, Rhodey had a question a minute ago, and I interrupted her.
Well, I was thinking of a way that this has been already very helpful to me, that it takes effort to hold it. And it reminds me of the effort I need to put out to keep myself in the right place. And today I was more conscious of thinking about putting out effort. And sometimes we put out effort to relax. But I feel something building as I'm working it. It's
Sure.
really been good.
I've broken instruction when I first had my little object, and I didn't want to stop touching it while I slept. And so a few hours later, I got severe Charlie horses in the muscles of my hand because I woke up and I was just gripping it so, and the pain was terrible. So I had to teach myself a lesson, and the instruction was to put it under my pillow. And so
Is it possible that somebody's back or vertebrae could, or somehow could not be the best thing to adjust it every day?
oh yes,
Some
it's
vehicle.
altogether possible
You can irritate
that it's not healthy.
That's what I've been feeling. Like some individuals would want an adjustment every day or sometimes twice a day.
Well, that doesn't give themselves a chance to correct. Okay, if there any other questions about what we're teaching you, Alex?
You will, then.
That just is a matter of practice. If
You-
we're
you
through with
wanna
questions, we'll give you one more meditation experience, or one more just tool.
Would it help to,
This is the top. Yeah.
You
Where
can't
you-
skip
where
that
your
high.
where your where your little what was it?
Fontanelle.
Yeah, fontanelle. You know where we
Oh.
saw when you were a
Right up
baby.
in here,
The last place it
where
closed.
they say your third eye used to be.
Even though some of the pictures bring it down here. You know, they said that the Lemurians had developed their third eye so well that they actually wore a skin-colored patch to cover it right here, so that people wouldn't know they had a third eye. Isn't that a good spiritual tale? If we're through, shall we
Just let me take my note.
peel it off?
Maybe I can see with 2 eyes.
That's right. Okay. We'll give you one other method of thinking in order to just another image to use if you choose. And if this doesn't work as well for you, then stick to the other one. And if it does work okay for you, then use both of them. But don't use this one exclusively. Okay? So let's close our eyes and I'll take you through it. I've come into a room to prepare my mind and vehicle for examination and to work on relaxing and perfecting, healing my vehicle. And as I sit in this chair in a position where nothing is under stress, I'm going to picture my vehicle as a plastic mannequin. And I know that it's not a clear plastic mannequin yet, but it's going to be in a few minutes when I get it relaxed. As I concentrate on relaxing my vehicle, this cloudy, shadowed mannequin will become clear. This image of my vehicle, that is, this mannequin, is filled with a fluid that is thick because it's less than relaxed. And each organ inside my vehicle is another plastic, the shape, soft shape of that particular organ. And any organ that is in disorder is darker or more clouded or shaded because it is in an unhealthy condition or under stress. I'm going to imagine that with the strength of my mind, that I'm going to put a ball of phosphorescent, bright light in the top of my head. And the ball, it holds together in shape, though it is not solid. It's many particles of phosphorescent, iridescent white light. And as that ball enters the top of my head, it's not free to move much because the liquid in my body is thick, not yet relaxed. With the strength of my mind, I will now move that white, phosphorescent, iridescent ball around in my head, checking where there might be tension or stress. If it cannot move freely, then there is still stress there. Whether it's at the back of my head or at my eyes, the ball moves down and checks my chin, my mouth, my cheeks, to see if there is any stress there. And individually, you will take that ball through every part of your body that needs attention. And remembering that as you take that ball through every part of your body, it also leaves behind it a deposit of light. That in that phosphorescence and iridescence begins to melt into the fluid and cause that fluid to become also white, bright, iridescent. I will slowly work that ball through every corner and crevice of my vehicle that might need attention, until I feel that I can, with my mind's eye, look at my vehicle and see that every organ in it has taken that light into it and becomes vibrant, moving, alive with that light. As I do this process, I am in this examining room where I am asking for more careful examining from the eyes of the next level that can examine me more carefully than I can examine myself. And I ask for their prescription of correction. When I'm through with my meditation, I'm going to move that vehicle from this chair and keep it in that state of being alive, yet calm, peaceful, vibrant, healthy, full of life and light. Part of the very life that was given to me from the next level. Here again with this meditation, as the other one, you will expand upon it and take it more slowly as you have the time and the need.
If you have trouble visualizing the light or this ball that Doe was talking about, during the day, while you're going about your daily tasks, try to imagine that light and that ball. In other words, be aware of anything that would give you an image to use as a guide, like some people used to meditate using a candle. They would look at the candle, then they would close their eyes and try to hold the image of that candlelight in their mind and concentrate on it. Now, what you could do is, if you see something like the sun, for instance, that's a very bright light. Kind of hurt your eyes to look at it very long, but if you glance at it quickly and look away, and then try to hold the image of that bright light in your head, and you want to bring it into your body, so to speak. Practice it. It isn't something, like we said, it will not happen very quickly. We don't want it to happen very quickly. But I do know that within a matter of a couple of days, you will find progress. You will find that things that used to irritate you, or you would lose control, or you would take in the wrong way, all of a sudden you were able to take it in a very right way and handle that circumstance. But it isn't something that will be a miracle, and you will say, that's the greatest experience I've ever had, because it will happen before you are even aware that it is happening, until it is over. And you can look at it and say, it is helping me, what I'm doing. You will be able to see the effort that you put into it. It won't take long. During it 3 times a day, and if you do it 10 times a day, it'll take even less time.
I want to say one more thing, and you can open your eyes and listen just a moment. Humans practice without even knowing what it is that they practice. A method of restoring health and harmony of their mind and body. But they do it with the wrong motivation. They do it for a human level motivation. Take, for example, a human who, a movie star. Let's take a female movie star who thinks she is really the most beautiful thing that ever happened. And she looks in that mirror, and she looks in that mirror with pride and vanity. And that vanity actually works as a formula to develop a more healthy, perfect, long-lasting vehicle at a very low level of vibration. Now, who has more right, more deserving right to the proper type of pride than someone who is new in the next level, as you are? In other words, you're not going to think such thoughts as I'm beautiful, as if to say, and I want to attract others to my beauty, though that would work, but that would keep me way down at a human level. But if you are putting those thoughts because you deserve to put them, I am a member of the next level. I am calm. I am whole. I am vital. I am alive. I am healthy. I have more reason to be than any living creature, for I have motivation to serve the kingdom of heaven, to serve the next level. And it works. This works to make you stronger and better equipped to serve. And it also, in the process, helps you have that service much easier to deal with and much more pleasant for yourself and others. We hope that in the last couple of days we've clarified some formulas for you that will help you and will make new creatures of you. And as a new step in your piano roll, an extremely pleasant one, and one that you've waited for, because you've gone through so many steps that were necessary that pushed you down in order to wipe out that old nasty humanness, those things that are not complement to the next level. Good luck on your work, and work hard.